dossier on each person and provides a confidence score on the person's current address. Now, you've learned that ICE is using it to find locations where lots of people it might detain could be based. How does this work?
So it is a map interface, and an ICE official will simply draw a circle or a square onto that map, and all of these small pins will appear. They'll then click onto one of those pins, and that will be a specific person, or in ICE's sort of vernacular, a target. That'll be their name, date of birth, a photo if they have it, and as you said, the address and the address confidence score. Elsewhere in the user guide I obtained explaining how this tool works, it says these addresses can come from the Department of Health and Human Services, USCIS, which is part of DHS, and various other sources as well. It seems to be a tool that brings together data from all of these usually separate places and sources and brings it into a sort of all-in-one single tool that ICE can use to find neighborhoods to raid, maybe write up target lists, and eventually supervisors to approve those lists and send people out into the field.
So, how did you confirm the connection between ICE and the company Palantir?
So, ELITE is an acronym, and then in the user guide, the full text of that was spelled out. I then, as I usually do when I get leaked documents, I started Googling around. The only mention of that spelled out acronym on the entire web was included in a Palantir contract for 29.9 million. To me, that made a very solid link between this particular tool and Palantir. And of course, last year, we already reported that Palantir was working on immigration enforcement for the second Trump administration. They were doing various data analytics services and products and that sort of thing. But this was really the first link that we got between, oh, they're making this specific tool and ICE is using it. It was finally bridging that divide between Palantir doing some frankly obscure technology work over here and what is actually happening on American streets.
So, what does ELITE, the acronym, stand for?
ELITE stands for Enhanced Leads Identification and Targeting for Enforcement. That is a very unique acronym.
You mentioned that there's a confidence score. So, how is that calculated?
According to the user guide, there are two main metrics that dictate or influence that confidence score. The first is the source of that data, so the Department of Health or wherever it may come from. And the second one is the recency, as in when was the last time that address was updated. And that's especially important for ICE because when it's trying to find people to detain and deport, and those could be, people with no criminal conviction, or it could be what they describe as, the most wanted or the worst of the worst, or whatever it may be that DHS, it may be however DHS is describing that. Those addresses are really, really important for ICE because they can finally try to track down where that specific person may be, and that's why they have a confidence score. They want to be quite efficient in what they're doing. They don't want to be sending personnel around randomly. They do want to find a specific location to go and target, and that is what this tool at least hopes to do.
Do you know if this tool has been and is being used in the raids that we're seeing around the country?
So, in December, ICE officials and Customs and Border Protection officials gave really illuminating testimony in a case going on there. It was discussing an immigration raid that happened in October. They targeted a woman who has the initials MJMA in the court transcripts and about 30 other people as well. And in that testimony, an ICE official explicitly said that they used something called ELITE, describing how it's used to build up target lists, describing how they went to neighborhoods that they called target rich, because there were lots of people there that they could potentially detain. And that was one of the key pieces that allowed me to do this investigation, because this is hearing from ICE officials themselves about how they're using this tool, what it's useful for, because when I approached DHS for comment on this, they weren't going to readily confirm those details themselves. That testimony has been really, really illuminating, not just for this story about Palantir, but various other ones about the surveillance tech that ICE is using in the field.